bells. Demon be gone.
Hey there, Ira Heiden from Dream Warriors. I'm here hanging out with Zak and Grace on the $2 late fee. By the way, I don't owe them any money. Man, God, if you want to listen to a really cool podcast, check these guys out. They know what they're doing.
Ira Heiden.
That's me, Zak.
I feel like Grace and I, when you agreed to come on our show,
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like we're in a battlefield against, orcs and trolls, and then Grace is like the dungeon master, and she's like, okay, roll for initiative, and I roll my 20-sided die, and it rolled 20 for both of us.
No way.
And it was like Ira's on our show, we're rolling 20, bucket list achieved.
We are rolling, man. See, I always got 18. That's so funny.
Well,
it was mine.
A die you need now is the Rickroll die. It's never going to give you up.
It's never going to let you down.
Never going to let you down unless you get Rickrolled at 1, which I believe is that one. So my son is a big D&D fan.
Sweet.
And I introduced it to him when he was like 5.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 10 now. And he plays once a week with his friends and a dungeon master in New York. And
see, that's so cool. I got into D&D because of J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. So when I was a kid, I was reading that book, and Gandalf. Does it get any better than him?
Agreed. We are reading a book series called now the Elfstones of Shannara. I don't know if you're familiar.
No.
It's a 3-book series. I think there's more actually, but the original series book, Terry Brooks, I think is the author.
Okay.
And these were definitely heavily influenced by J.R.R. Tolkien, but you read these and you go, these were written in the 70s, and you read these now and you go, Game of Thrones definitely lifted from this.
Right on.
Legend of Zelda lifted from this. Like all these great kind of pop culture references nowadays.
Totally.
But anyways, the Elfstones of Shannara. But Grace and I are so excited to have you on our show. Thank you for being here.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I got to tell you, I do realize that Grace did all of her research, which was pretty awesome.
She did.
She rolled deep, man, which is great.
Sure did.
On a lot of these podcasts I do, you get obviously a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, rewatched, and Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Of course.
Rewatched, but not many times do you go deep into the Illegally Yours, Ira Heiden playing Rob Lowe's brother in the Peter Bogdanovich movie, which is super cool.
I mean, obviously we want to talk about that, like there's a lot to dig into in regards to Illegally Yours. And by the way, if anyone is interested in that movie, I'll put a link in the show notes to, you can watch it. I think it's on YouTube.
That's right. You will be one of the 100 people that have seen Illegally Yours.
Hey, watch it tick up after this interview drops. People are going to be like, whoa, Grace told me that I should watch this. And
then they'll revamp Rob Lowe's career. It'll be crazy.
Yeah, it would be amazing if he could have the,
Right.
So, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 of the Dream Warriors. Obviously, you are such a huge part of our childhood, our upbringing. There's a character Presto on Dungeons and Dragons, and this kind of looks like you in a way. It's my son's little figure. Let's talk about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 of the Dream Warriors.
Let's do it.
So, casting, how did you get cast as the wizard that you are in that film?
As the wizard. Well, first let's jump into when I watched Nightmare 1, the first one. I was in high school in Tampa, Florida. And let me preface that I wasn't a huge horror fan. So I get scared pretty easily. And my friends made me go and watch it at the movie theater, and I literally watched it like this.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
I mean, between my fingers, and I mean, Freddy scared the hell out of me. So then cut to, I moved to LA and jump into acting, and my manager, Marilyn Sherman, says, hey, we have an audition for you. I want you to meet the casting director, Annette Benson. It's for Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. I was like, oh my gosh, how cool. it's for the role of a wizard master. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. And so I got to meet Annette Benson, and then she pre-taped me for to meet Chuck Russell. So I did my audition, and I studied very hard. My cousin was an acting coach back in the day, David Shacker. So
Okay.
he helped me go over my lines and everything. And I mean, I really felt like the character was me anyway, because like I said, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons and
Right.
everything like that. So then I met with Chuck, and he loved it and thought I did great. Then they brought me back in again, and I had to read for different roles. So I read for Joey. Um,
Oh,
and I read for the nurse scene, which was the best scene ever. Um, because I mean, I didn't have to say anything. All I had to do was react.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, right? So it was very good. And then again, Chuck brought me in one more time for my final callback. Guys, I had 5 auditions for this movie.
that's insane. I mean, that's a lot.
I've never had 5 auditions for a movie since then.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but they were pretty, I guess particular, and they wanted to make sure that I grasped the role, and they saw a bunch of other kids, and lo and behold, I ended up getting the job.
It's a really big deal. Like I had Robert Romanus on years ago, and he talked about the role of Damone in Fast Times, right? And how he had to audition like close to 7 times, I believe he said. So I could be out of term on that. It might be 6, but still, it's insane. Like I don't think people who are in the business nowadays recognize that back then that was more commonplace, right? To have to come back several times.
Absolutely. And, I remember it vividly to the day. Um, I usually do things in a ritual. Like, so the place was at New Line Cinema, which was on Robertson, just below Beverly Boulevard here in Los Angeles. So I would park on Beverly Boulevard, feed the meter, walk the same exact route to go all the way to New Line Cinema to cross into, to take the elevator up to the 6th floor to get there. Like, I kept everything every single time.
It sounds like, you hear baseball players, not you can't step on the chalk or you got to do this certain way. It sounds like that. Like you're like, was there ever a moment where you deviated slightly and you're like, oh no, this isn't going to work?
No, I didn't go there.
Good.
I just kept focused.
Clearly, because you got the gig. So
Yeah. But I mean, seriously, you could think about, like, if you double guess yourself, like, oh, did I do, I really back then just kept my auditions and just did the best I could. And when I was done, wipe it off and move on to the next. You know what I mean?
wow, that's heavy. And to be cast in a franchise that clearly 2025 is as relevant, now as it was back then. Like it's still
It's
popular.
nuts, Zach. I mean, I guess I started about 10 years ago doing these horror conventions.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I guess I really had no idea. I mean, I knew the movie did really well in the 80s, and I kept getting residual checks in the 90s and 2000s and stuff, and I knew it was a big film, but it wasn't until I went to one of these horror conventions. Uh Texas Frightmare. It
Okay.
was 35th anniversary. 20,000 people.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, Grace. I mean, it was so cool. And, you talk about all the fans that would get fully dressed up, and you got the fans that were like, oh my God, you were my favorite character. You also had the fans with, how the hell could they kill you, man? It wasn't right. To,
True.
oh my gosh, you are such a part of my growing up, because there were things that I went through, and the Dream Warriors, you guys all banded together, and it kind of gave me the power to get through my part, whatever I was personally going through.
Right.
So it's a really an incredible film to be a part of, but it also is such a great thing that you could see the fans really related to the movie, and it was pretty awesome.
I feel like 3 specifically kind of touches on that because there's so many different personalities. You got 1 and 2 that really focus on one particular character, but 3 is very well rounded, and it's all these facets of maybe one person's personality, right? But there's so many different relatable characters in Dream Warriors. By the way, for those that can't see this, Ira's wearing a Dream Warriors t-shirt, but it has the Warriors font from my favorite movie of all time, The Warriors. I think Fright Rags did that, right? Or
That is correct. Warriors.
Come out to play,
Play,
yay.
yay.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
So, but Texas, like the convention scene, Grace and I are similar in age, and I think Grace, you've been going to conventions since you were, a teenager, right?
Monsterpalooza is the big one here in Los Angeles, so definitely try and go to that every year.
Yeah, Ira, do you find that the conventions outside of Los Angeles are bigger, like as far as turnout is concerned? Or
Oh, much so. Very, I mean, like Days of the Dead in Chicago, Monster Mania in Pennsylvania. I think all of those, you know, the sad thing about the greatest thing about Los Angeles is, you can go to Starbucks and see George Clooney, so
right.
it's kind of hard to get super excited, like, oh my gosh, the Dream Warriors are in Burbank.
I think so.
Excited.
No, I get it. But you take that to Scarefest in Kentucky, which will be in October, with Robert Englund and Heather Langenkamp, and
whoa.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome show. So you get to those places, and it's just like, well, my gosh, we've got to bring our posters. We've got to get everything signed because we got to get the lineup. Everybody's here, so
they don't take it for granted.
No, definitely not. And it's a little more, hey, it's a little cockier here, but that's LA for you, right?
It's a little cocky, but Grace and I, obviously we're both here in Los Angeles and go to the conventions here, like you said, Grace, Monsterpalooza, right? And I used to go to Fangoria conventions back in the day and
Oh, wow.
miss those. Miss like seeing Tony Timpone, who's a friend actually. It was a different vibe back then in the early 90s, just seeing everybody. Now it is like the fandom has reached this moment, this pinnacle. And a character like Will in Dream Warriors can be like, I think because of YouTube and because of social media, more people are able to see it now or see just the clips that you're in. So they go, oh, I don't know what happens to this guy, but he's really cool. And he looks like the guy from Stranger Things. And there's this connection there.
And Harry Potter.
Harry Potter and Stranger Things.
Master.
Is he the OG Harry Potter? Oh my God.
I believe the OG Harry Potter is the what's his face in Troll because he's named Harry Potter. But then you are the official by image. You could definitely.
If you really think about it, I might be the youngest wizard master other than Mickey Mouse.
This is probably true.
Because how many wizards looked like they were 15 and 14?
Well, there's that Tom Hanks movie, right, from the early 80s. I believe it was Tom Hanks' first role. Wizards and Warriors or something I'm getting the name wrong. But anyways, where it was like a anti-Dungeons and Dragons movie. It was produced by I don't know if Tipper Gore produced it, but he was like the mothers against, metal music and Dungeons and Dragons because it'll lead you down a path of LSD and
hell and hell.
And hell. You're going to hell if you roll 20.
Going to hell if you watch those movies.
It's really bad. But I think those are college kids. So your character Will in Dream Warriors, like I said, I think so many people can relate because there's such a diverse cast. People are mad that your character does not survive.
In the name of Lorik, Prince of Elves, demon be gone!
Sorry, kid. I don't believe in fairy tales.
Was there any talk of certain characters surviving and then they're like, nah, we're going to scratch that guy off?
Not that I know of. I mean, back then we just got the script and, we ran with it. We even had a reading when we were all cast in Westwood. Chuck Russell had us all come together for a brunch in Westwood, and then we went to his friend's flat and we all did a reading there. They gave me my wheelchair so I could practice using my wheelchair. So I had a week of that and, going through Westwood again. it was really, really cool because I got to use it and people were like, oh my God, they opened the door for me. And then there were people like that would just turn away and not look at me.
Yeah.
So I really got a sense of the character. Um, but it was such a cool experience. And yeah, it was cool.
Did you go through a phase where you're like, I don't want to be associated with Will. I don't want to be, and then suddenly flip? Or were you always like, I love this character. I don't care if people 30 years from now remember me as that.
Oh no, I was all the way always gung
Great.
ho. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it was just such a cool part. The funny thing is, I was shooting Illegally Yours in Florida, St. Augustine, Florida, when Nightmare came out. So I didn't get to go to the premiere. Um,
Oh, bummer.
I know it was a big bummer. But then I went to watch it with Kim Myers, who was in Illegally Yours, who was
Yep.
in Nightmare 2, and her husband now, Eric Small. We all went to the movie theater to watch it. And it's so funny. The reaction of people were like, these two girls came up to me like, we cried when you died. Yeah, no, Will has always been a great character, a sense of hope, a sense of you can do it. A lot of people feel that I should never have ran at Freddy. Why did I do that? I had him from a distance, but I just felt what I had, and I used what I had, and I went right after him, and he just
Right.
picked me up and said, "Sorry, kid, I don't believe in fairy tales."
Dream
Yeah.
Warriors arguably the best sequel, hands down. I think so many of us grew up watching Nightmare 3 as kids. So to us, the Dream Warriors were us, or if not our peers. So we were right there with you guys, bonded together as the Dream Warriors. And yet to see them being picked off one by one, it's just like, oh, heartbreaking because we are the Dream Warriors with you. So yeah, absolutely. And it was just such a bunch of likable teen characters, not one of you guys were an asshole. So
Yeah,
so
I,
True.
easy just to be along with you guys for the ride.
although Ken Sagos, he kind of was the grumpy, like, I'll beat you up, asshole. Um,
But he does love, right?
No, he did it with love, much love. I mean, talk about hitting home right now, the mental health awareness
Right.
from the movie and how, they threw us all on a mental board because we were crazy, but we weren't. 5 years ago, we did a reading of Dream Warriors at the world famous Whiskey A Go-Go. And Robert read Freddie and Heather read her part, and we had everybody except Ken and Jennifer. They were in a convention in Minnesota. But we had Brooke Thies came in and read Jennifer's part. And my friend Keyshawn Giles read Ken Sagos's role. But it was an amazing thing because we got to read it and we did it at the Whiskey and we raised like $25,000 for Dee Dee Hirsch Mental Health Awareness Foundation.
That's amazing. That's
Incredible.
amazing.
Los Angeles, welcome to the world famous Whiskey A Go-Go, where today you will see a once-in-a-lifetime staged reading of A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. Today's presentation is being done by members of the original cast, as well as friends, family, and other associated members of the 35-year Elm Street legacy. This film, Dream Warriors, came out in '87 and was directed by Chuck Russell, who will be joining our cast tonight as our narrator. You're here for Ira and Heather, my two co-producers. They're coming up right now.
Welcome everybody. I'm Heather Langenkamp. I play Welcome to Robert England and the Dream Warriors celebrating A Nightmare.
All right, we're going to get this show started. What do you guys say?
All right, let's bring the cast
Let's bring the
down.
cast in. They're going to all introduce themselves as they come down here.
We have a lot of great substitutes today, and I can't wait for you to see who's
Hi,
gonna be here.
I'm Aubrey, and I'll be playing the little girl. Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'm gonna help sing the 1, 2, Freddy's Coming For You.
Hey guys, Bill Allen, aka Crew Jones here. I'm playing Orderly and Priest and Dick Cavett and some other strange characters.
Lorenzo.
Hi guys, I'm Brooklyn and I'm playing Max and Dr. Carver.
I'm Amanda Wiss, and I'm playing Marcy and Dr. Sims.
I'm Steve Caffrey. I'm playing Neil.
Hi, I'm Brooke Thies from Nightmare 4. I'll be playing Taryn.
Hi, I'm Tuesday Night, and I'll be playing Kristen.
Hi, I'm Penelope Sudrow, and I'll be playing Jennifer Coulter.
Hey, I'm Keyshawn Giles, and I'll be playing Kincaid. And this is Rodney Eastman. He'll be playing Joey.
I'm Robert England. I'm playing Freddy. Goddamn whiskey. Hell with Steven Tyler.
I'm Brooke Lundy playing the bad mom. And Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Our director. Hey, I'm Chuck Russell. Thanks for coming. I will be your narrator. I will be your narrator.
And last but not least,
Hey, I'm Bradley Gregg. I'm Philip.
You know, I think, Grace, what you're saying, Nightmare 3 is so many people's favorite sequel. And it's also, I feel like it can be a standalone film too. You know, you walk into it with enough of an introduction to not have to see the 1 or 2, which, like you said, Ira, 1 is terrifying. 1 gave me nightmares as well. And I think upon revisiting it, it has a different, you know, sense of humor. It's much darker. And 3 has a more accessible audience that it can reach, because people go, yeah, it's gory as hell.
Right.
But still, there's enough moments where you can go, okay, I can breathe for a minute.
Yes, and there's some funny liners, you know. I mean,
Of course.
Robert's got his ways, man. I'll tell you, he was so great to work with, and I was getting ready to do my death scene, and you know, this was my first death scene in a movie. I'm an actor, and I need to be as serious as I can be and really think death, feel it. And Robert's right next to me, full makeup, telling jokes.
Yeah.
Telling me how he just bought a house in Laguna Beach, and he drives his convertible Mustang into town.
Is he doing it in his Freddy voice though, or is it
Oh
Robert?
yeah. Hey kid, did you hear the one about? I'm like, Robert, come on. This is creepy, scary, and it's not helping me really get into my I have to die now.
Well, so what was it, 1987, right, when that movie came out, and we have a show on $2 Late Fee has a Patreon, right, and there's smaller shows on there. There's one called Why Does Zak Own This, and one of the show, and it's all the stuff I own. I have to have Grace on there because she rivals me with the amount of amazing nostalgia that she's got. But I found this the other day. It's a Freddy Krueger. So it came out for 3. It's a Freddy Krueger fan club letter, right? And if you open it up, it's got a merchandise to the Nightmare 1, 2, and 3 merch, like posters and pins and whatnot.
That's cool.
And then Dream Warrior T-shirts from the original back in the day.
Wow.
But there's a letter on there as well. It says, "Hiya, sport. Thanks for writing me. It made my night." Right.
Oh my gosh.
It's very punny, as I would say.
Of course.
Anyways, that my whole point of bringing that up is that it again, talking about an audience, it opened up this merchandise, to a younger audience. I don't know, I wasn't even a teenager yet when I had this.
That's crazy. Remember 1-800-CALL-FREDDY?
Of course.
Do you mean this shirt right here from your
Wow. Is that the original? That's the original shirt?
Yeah.
It's a reprint. It's a reprint, but it's a reprint of that exact shirt. It's even got here. Let me show you.
That's
the back.
Oh, it's got the logo of the original Nightmare on Elm Street 3 logo on the back. So cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I want to ask you guys a quick question.
Yeah.
On that poster, you see the characters on there. Do you think Will is there, or do you think it's a Joey?
I mean, it really looks like Will.
That's what I feel, right? He's got the full-on mace, and he could be turning into a wizard master at any point now, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, were you a part of that poster at all? Were you part of anything involved with the
Nothing.
marketing?
I had nothing to do with that. A couple things I did have. By the way, I wanted to show you guys this. Um, so it's my death scene, and Robert England signed it from Freddy. Ira, eat shit and die. Freddie K. And then Robert England he signed it on the very bottom, 12 December 1986. Yeah, I thought that was a part of me on the poster, but I really do feel that I was part of the inspiration or helped get or helped facilitate Dokken to be on the soundtrack.
Okay.
Nicky Marvin was the supervising producer at the time, and they were going through bands and stuff like that. And they were down to two. They were down to Dokken and they were down to Marillion. Do you remember the band Marillion?
Marillion. I mean,
Marillion.
That's a color, right? I don't think I've ever heard of Marillion.
And
I know a lot of hair metal bands from back in the day. But wow.
So yeah, they weren't really metal, but it was, I mean, I said, you got to go Dokken. There's just, I mean, the horror, the rock and everything. You can't not go Dokken. Plus, I was a huge Dokken fan.
I mean, Dokken's badass.
There it is, rocking with Dokken. Check that out. Hey, if any of you guys want to go see Dokken, they're going to be at the Whiskey A Go-Go November 27th.
I'm there.
And I'll be there.
We will all be there. We will have we'll have a reunion from this interview.
Yes, for sure.
Do it.
Wait, so you said you got to have Dokken on there, and clearly they did. I feel like 4, the Dream Master, was the one that had this more solid soundtrack, right? Across the board, though, if people say, what's a song you remember from Nightmare on Elm Street, the franchise, immediately they're going to say the Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors, right?
Yeah. So, but then I feel like my armchair quarterback kind of thing is like, oh, when they got the 4, they're like, okay, now we're going to get more bands on here. Now we're going to put more songs in here. We're going to make more commercially viable or whatever. But that Dream Warrior song, I sing my son, when he was younger, and it still is, I'm like imprinting my childhood on him, right? So Masters of the Universe and G.I. Joe and Transformers, he's playing with my old toys. And I have this old He-Man book called The Rock Warriors. And I would say, oh, there's a song for the Rock Warriors. He's like, really? There is? I go, yeah, we're the Rock Warriors. And he's like, oh, cool. So he'd be walking around the house, 3 years old, Rock Warriors, we're gonna rock no more. So whatever. Anyways, and then he hears the original song. He's like, is that the same song? I go, no, it's a different song.
With that song, I always wondered, I obviously thought it was a great song, but we're the Dream Warriors ain't gonna dream no more.
It just sounds better.
But wait a second, how does that work? See, even my son laughs at it.
He's making breakfast right now.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're a teenager.
Hey, I get it.
So yeah, I mean, it's like, well, who came up with those lyrics? I mean,
yeah,
it'll be gone.
True.
Look at you, Grace. Grace, have you ever karaoke Dream Warriors
I would love to, actually.
That's a tough one to hit. I mean, Dokken hits those high notes.
Yeah, you'd have to go pretty high. But Ira, so you were asked, like, oh, what do you prefer? Do you prefer this song by Dokken, or do you prefer this Marillion band? Were you asked which song? No,
Nikki was just saying, she just mentioned the two ones, Marillion and Dokken, and I right away just said, you got to go Dokken. You don't even think about anything else.
We're gonna get a bunch of comments now. People like, what do you mean you don't know Marillion? How dare you? I'm like, yo, what? Calm down a little bit. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you performed. You did a table read basically, right? At the Whiskey.
Right.
That must have been interesting. Were there bands that were playing there as well, or how was that?
It was an acoustic band
doing Dream Warriors. Amazing.
My gosh, if I could find, we did the video, but we weren't allowed to show it. Man, we had to go through so much hoops and to make sure that well, we're not trying to sell this and we're not trying to do that and stuff. But
Yeah.
we actually do have a video of the whole thing. But it was a really fun experience of the two people that did Dream Warriors because, yeah, they did an acoustic thing of it. And, we're the Dream Warriors.
Look, I saw Winger doing 17 acoustically, and I was like, oh, this is so cool, but so I'm sure it was amazing.
Winger. Man, I got to tell you, like, I was just such a huge rock fan. I mean, growing up in Florida, I got really into Metallica, Quiet Riot, Rat,
Yeah.
Van Halen, Dokken. And so when I came out here to LA, I already had all the rock in my blood. So to get to see those bands was like such an incredible experience.
So you came out here in the 80s, obviously. Los Angeles in the 80s was peak metal, hair bands.
1985, September is when I came out.
Wow. Yes, such a good time.
The first thing that landed me into the Screen Actors Guild was a Pepsi commercial for the movies.
Oh.
And it was with Johnny Depp. It was with Sherilyn Fenn. They were dating at the time. It was with Brooke McCarter, Lost Boys.
Yep.
It was with China Phillips.
Wow.
That band Wilson Phillips. I don't know if you remember.
So Carney Wilson's a buddy of mine because, yeah.
Oh.
She's who got me into voice acting.
No
actually.
way.
Yeah, but that's a whole other story.
That is a whole great story. I need to hear that. And so, yeah, it was this incredible commercial. I just got so lucky to come out here. And during that time filming, I was trying to get over to the Rainbow and see if there are any bands going to play over there and stuff like that.
That's amazing.
It was nothing like hanging out on the Sunset Strip on a Saturday night.
Oh my God. Yeah. So Ira, little backstory. Ira has, been talking to Grace and I offline prior to this interview. And one of the things Ira brought up to me was that he's buddies with Bill Allen, aka Crew Jones from the movie Rad, and who's been on the show. And obviously Rad is having a big documentary that's come out. Actually, as of this recording, it was the day before Rad Day, day after Rad Day.
First day of spring, too.
Right. Yeah. So happy spring, everybody. Did you meet Bill in the 80s in LA, or how did that all come about?
Oh, do I have a story about that? So when I first came back to LA, because I came out in second semester, 11th grade, I went to Grant High School. My mom lived out here, and I was trying to get into acting because I'd always done it. And I met this manager, and Marilyn Sherman. So I went back to Florida, graduated high school, and then came out here for the full show and signed with Marilyn. And she said, you've got to get into an acting class. I want you to be studying and stuff like that. I was like, of course. So I got into a class Brian O'Byrne was teaching. And one of the main students over there was Bill Allen.
Oh.
And that's how I met Bill. And, I don't look at Bill as a friend. I look at him as a brother.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we have experienced a lot together. And he's just a phenomenal dude. But don't tell him I told you.
Oh, no, we'll cut all that out.
Perfect. Yeah, so that's how I met Bill. And that's how I met Brandon Lee, Lou Diamond Phillips,
Yeah.
John Lee Hancock, all these people was through Bill, and we all used to play poker together and stuff like that. So
Did you jam with them too? Or are you a musician?
I never jammed with them. I play a little guitar, but I technically was Bill's brother Sherman's guitar tech for a bit. But no, I never got to do that. But oh my gosh, the Pipe Fitters, which was Lou Diamond Phillips and the Pipe Fitters.
Yeah.
Which they may be coming back to the whiskey, by the way.
Really?
There's talk of a reunion and closing the show with La Bamba. How do you like that?
No way. Amazing.
I used to go see them at, I don't know if you remember on the west side, a place called the Cock and Bull.
Yeah, it's actually down the street from my house. It's gone now. It's gone now, unfortunately.
The nights that we would have there, that they would play, and Melissa Etheridge would get up and sing.
Wow.
Steve Lukather, I don't know if you're familiar with the guitarist from Toto.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He would get up there and jam.
What?
So many great people. And you would see bouncing around and dancing, you would see Tia Carrera with everybody. And Brandon Lee, who was the worst dancer ever, hopping on one boot.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Incredible.
That is wild.
Wow.
That is wild. Yeah, when Bill was on way back when, he mentioned that he was, obviously really closely connected to Brandon and Lou, and because I think it was around an anniversary, I think of maybe The Crow had come out, or the passing of Brandon Lee, unfortunately. But what a wild story growing up with that group, that crew. Just wild.
The stories we're not allowed to tell.
Yeah, exactly. When you write your book, there's a director who that we had on who wants to write a book called All the Bridges I've Burnt, and basically his tell-all. That could be you someday, I'm sure. So who knows? Okay, I want to rough segue into Illegally Yours, because when I told Grace that you were going to be on the show, and we were kind of doing research, and Grace is like, I got to watch this movie, because obviously Colleen Camp, she was going to be on the show way back when, and she had to reschedule. I was looking at her filmography, and I'm like, I remember this movie. I remember watching it on HBO. I remember watching it on Cinemax. And I remember the poster, that it was Rob Lowe with his sophisticated glasses, actually very similar to what you're wearing, Ira. They're similar to that. And because it makes you look more sophisticated. And it's such a quirky film. Peter Bogdanovich makes this movie, and there is an audience of our listeners, I'm sure, that do not know who Peter Bogdanovich is. And if you do not know, you're doing yourself a disservice as a film fan to not know who he is. So look up his resume and just watch, most of his 70s movies. But if you're an 80s fanatic, go watch Mask. Start with that, I guess.
And The Last Picture Show.
Of course. I mean, from the 70s, early 70s. So, but Illegally Yours, starring Ira and Rob Lowe. Talk about that whole experience.
So I'm shooting Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and I'm auditioning for Illegally Yours.
Yeah. You had said, because you were in Florida and you couldn't be there for the premiere, obviously, too.
Yeah. So I was very excited. I got to read with Janet Hurston and Jane Jenkins. And then I went back and read for Peter, who had his toothpick in his mouth. Oh, hi, Ira. Nice to meet you.
Did he have a bandana around his neck?
He did. Of course he did. So got to meet him. And then I had 2 callbacks, and it was, both with Rob, who was just so cool. And it came down to 2 people. It came down to me and Greg Mars Martin. Now, I don't know if you know him. He was a child actor.
Okay.
But he's like 6'2". Like, we couldn't be any different. So yeah, I auditioned for that, and again went through my cousin, had been put on tape and go over my lines and each scene and stuff like that. And then back then, Zak and Grace, of course, we carried our beepers that our managers would hit us up with a page.
Yeah, right. 43110 and
Yep. And so I was working on Nightmare. We were at the VA hospital over in Westwood. And pager went off, and I went to the phone box and put my money in 25 cents, and listened to my message on the beeper, and it was my manager saying, "Well, kid, you're on a roll. You got Illegally Yours."
Yeah, Shane.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
I was jumping up and down. I mean, that was such a wonderful experience, and I met some of the greatest people who are still my friends to this day. And like I said, Kim Myers and Eric Small, they met on that movie. Eric was Peter Bogdanovich's assistant, and Kim was that was her very first second lead role after Nightmare 2.
Right.
Um, and yeah, we became like brothers and sisters, and yeah, we still keep in touch. They live right down the street in Studio City.
Well, what a trip.
Yeah, so it's great, but that experience, oh my gosh.
Did you tell Kim? You're like, hey, guess what? I'm in Nightmare 3.
Well, she came with me.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
We did talk about it. And so it was so great. And to get to play Rob Lowe's brother.
Yeah, I mean, Grace and I offline were saying that, no disrespect to Rob Lowe, but you are the standout in that film.
Oh, thank you.
Sincerely.
Of every scene you're in. I mean, you're the highlight of every scene that you're in. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny. Rob has a great podcast called Literally. I don't know.
Yeah, I was hoping you bring this up.
If you listen to it.
No, we don't listen to his podcast because we only listen to our podcast.
Sorry about that. Well,
if you only so much time in the day.
If you ever have a chance, it's great because at the end, he has a thing called the lowdown.
Yeah.
And people can call in. It's a number and it says, all right, have a take, be quick, be precise, and go. Beep. And so I called in and I said, hey, Rob, it's Ira. Remember me? I was your brother on Illegally Yours. And I said, what was it like to work with Peter Bogdanovich? So he goes into a big 5-minute thing saying, oh my gosh, first of all, you were the best thing that we had. It was our best thing ever was to hire you for that movie.
He's not wrong.
Which was such a great honor and
to hear that, yeah.
To be a part of that. And then he said, but unfortunately, like the Titanic, things don't always work out the way it seems. And
wow.
He goes on into it and talks about all the people. Our first AD was Jerry Ziesheimer, who is in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
He only has one line in that Apocalypse Now. And I forgot what it was. We must terminate without prejudice or something like that.
Something like that.
And so Rob goes, when that is your highlight to talk about Illegally Yours, there's not a good thing about the movie.
Well, there's a connection with Colleen Camp in Apocalypse Now because she was in that as well.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But Colleen is such a sweetheart, and what a wonderful, wacky woman. I mean, just everybody.
Oh yeah.
In the movie. At that point, I was just on cloud 9.
Well, I'm also tripping over the fact that your name in the movie is Andrew Dice, no relation to Clay.
Oh!
I was waiting for you to do the trick with the cigarette. Like so random,
right?
Yeah, right. Go ahead, finish that line.
The mouse ran up the clock. Okay, I'll stop there.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, but what a trip, though.
Yeah,
the thing is that not everybody understands. You can't hit a home run with every film, and and there's so much politics behind certain things working or not working. And I think it frustrates me sometimes when I see people besmirch a film that I enjoy because I'm like you don't know the behind the scenes, what was going on. And clearly, but for you to have so many fond memories of this performance and to work with Peter Bogdanovich, who is, considered one of the all-time greatest directors.
So one of the things, I was always hitting my mark, always getting my lines right and everything like that. But Peter would never say anything to me. And I'm like, after 3 weeks of working, I came up to him and I said, Peter, am I doing an okay job?
Yeah, Dad, am I doing okay?
And he says, Ira, if I had any kind of a problem, I would let you know.
Interesting.
I deem you Sir Ira. So he called me Sir Ira because I always knew my lines and I always hit my mark and was the best Andrew Dice that I could be.
Are you saying you're a wizard and a knight then?
And I mean, I don't know what's the correlation. Dice, wizard,
Oh,
dice, roll the
whoa.
dice.
You're turning into there's something there.
All in a metaverse somewhere.
Well, my question is, why are you not on Stranger Things as a teacher? And
Well, I used to play football with Sean Levy.
Oh, really?
A young student, film student at USC. Yeah, back in the day, it was with Michael Stoyanov, Danny Nucci.
Oh, yeah.
Who was in Titanic.
Yeah. Nice
Michael
callback.
Stoyanov, who was an incredible athlete, and he was in Blossom.
Yeah. And we want to get to some questions because Grace has questions from our listeners and our fans. Before we get to the questions, though, we opened up before we hit record. You had held up a glove, and you're about to hold it up again.
That is correct.
What do you have in your hand? And for those that are listening to this, go to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and watch this video with Ira and Grace and I.
So this is the original glove from Nightmare 3.
Wow.
And Anders Ericsson makes these.
Anders Ericsson, okay.
Yes. He was our special effects guy, and he makes these things, and they're amazing. The funny thing about the Nightmare on Elm Street 3 glove, it retracted on our set. So the blades retracted in. Each glove is different.
Yeah.
However, during my death scene, one of the blades wasn't working.
Oh, crap.
So they had to put a 2x4 over my heart.
Oh, yeah, because what?
And thank God Robert is a good actor and knows how to hit his mark. So yeah, this is the great glove. It's super cool. Gosh, I want to take it off so you can see the hand. It's so creepy. And it's so like real.
Is it creepy like this hand? I'm going to show up the close up of this picture of Robert Englund's hand from this catalog. It's so gross.
Oh yeah.
He was a child. I mean, he's a creepy guy. He's a creepy guy.
Yep.
Anyways, look at that hand. Okay, so again, you all who are listening, Grace is holding up the Japanese program. Will's holding up his hand, which has been horribly burned. Not his hand, everybody. That is so shocking and cool and
Isn't that
rad.
cool?
No pun intended with me saying rad, but I do probably say rad every other word during the day.
Why wouldn't you?
Of course. I mean, your brother is Crew Jones.
Crew Jones.
Grace, let's get to some of these questions before we run out of time.
Let's do it.
With Ira.
Let's see. Yeah.
I love that Grace has she's so much cool stuff. And I'm like, when are we gonna do a walkthrough?
Yes, it's still got the Dokken sticker on it.
So it's not been opened.
No, it's open. This is just in a protective case. Yeah.
Oh, she has.
Oh, super cool.
You know what? We didn't even get to talk about Elvira.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
So much.
Oh my gosh. One of the best auditions ever. There was 30 of us at the callback. We were there for almost 3 hours, and I grabbed lunch with Chris Cam, who ends up in the movie with me. Unbelievable movie. Cassandra Peterson, the most incredible person, super cool. You got to read her book, by the way. Oh
yeah.
my gosh, it's crazy what she's been through and had to go through. Elvis, my gosh. Will Chamberlain. I mean, all these people. The one-liners in that movie were just so great. Originally, Tim Burton, they wanted to direct it. Can you imagine if it wasn't James Signorelli?
Wow.
Anyway, that movie was beyond fun, exciting, and yeah, to this day, that's still one of the highlights. That and Father the Bride.
Yeah, I mean, look. So I'm hoping, Ira, that this is not the only time you're on our show. That's the first of many. Just a quick side note. We do there's a movie called North Shore that came out in '87. It's a surfing movie, right? With
Matt Adler.
Yeah. Oh, so Matt Adler is a close friend, and he and Laura, they have a Momentum Wheels for Humanity, a charity that they're a part of, and it raises money for, wheelchairs globally. And we do a fundraiser every year to raise money for said charity. And we do it's like a Saturday on YouTube, and guests join us. Ray Don Chong's been on, John Philbin, Matt Adler, Laura, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Dean Cameron, whatever. It would be great if you could join us for that.
Count me in, man.
All right, cool. Well, that more to come down the road. But anyways, Grace, what are some of these questions we have from some of our listeners and fans?
But there's so much more to talk about. We don't have time. I mean, I wanted to talk about Ghostbusters, Twisted Sister.
Right, I know. Well, maybe Grace, you could pretend that you have a question from a listener, and it's about the music video.
I really want to quickly talk about the fact that, Ira, you're in a Twisted Sister video from 1985, and it's like this cast of characters, right? Like Alice Cooper's in it, Bobcat Goldthwait. Tom Savini is in it, and you play a zombie in the video. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So I was an extra. I was cast in that, and my character is a nerd in school and everything, but then we turn into zombies at the end. And unfortunately, you don't see much of me, maybe like a second and a half if you time it right. But what an incredible experience that was. And talk about rock and roll, a rock band, Twisted Sister.
Right.
We're not going to take it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I want to rock. Yeah.
Rock. Dun, 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 dun. God, I can't stop.
It's okay.
But we do these conventions, obviously, and I ran into Dee Snider. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you were that dude. That's right." He goes, "Did you know that we had Jason Priestley on there too? He was one of the kids." I was like, "What? I didn't remember that."
Was one of the zombies?
I think he must have turned into a zombie. I remember him it being. I think he's more featured than me. So yeah, it was one of those crazy things that I did, and I was glad that I did it. And Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Come on, you're part of so many franchises.
The voice of the Mini Puffed characters. Oh my gosh. Such an incredible experience to get directed by Jason Reitman. Unbelievable. What a great time.
Absolutely. Has anyone come up to you with a little mini Stay Puft yet to sign?
Oh yeah, I do a bunch of them. The burnt ones, the marshmallow ones, all of them. They're great.
Have you done the Chubby Bunny challenge where you put the marshmallows in your mouth and you say Chubby Bunny over and over and over again until you can't put any more in your mouth?
No, Zach, I'm too cool. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, I used to run summer camps. So like, did we do the Chubby Bunny challenge? I'm like, what's that? And they're like, we put shove marshmallows in your mouth. And I almost choked on that.
No.
Like, I'm never doing Chubby Bunny ever again. They're like, I got you. Anyways. Grace.
Okay.
Okay, Grace.
All right, so let's see here. Snake Eyes 415 on Instagram wants to know, where's the prop wheelchair of Spikes now? Is it still around now?
Very, very interesting. I believe that a guy bought it, and I think he lives in Northern California. Back when we shot, there were two wheelchairs, and I could see if I could pull up the picture really quick. These things were ginormous, and they were, pardon the French, fucking scary.
Yeah.
I mean, these things were crazy. And William Perry, who played my stunt double, he unfortunately had to have this thing run down and like come next to him and hit him. Oh my God, it was crazy. So that's where I think I can't find the picture, but it was it's in North California. It was in a warehouse in the Valley, but I guess it was auctioned off.
Well, the guy, Snake Eyes 415, if he's a 415 guy, that's San Francisco. So maybe he, Snake Eyes, do you know where this is?
That could be it.
Let's see. Faust Doodles 98 on asked, still play D&D? Are you still the Wizard Master?
Amazing.
That's a picture from from my camera. That's what they looked like.
So creepy. Saw has nothing on those, by the way.
Unfortunately, right? I have not been playing for a while. I would have to get into my gear again, and I haven't played in a while. But my
Could be
buddies
this
Abe
guy.
Ben Ruby, Jason Fiegel, they used to play a bunch, and I just never got over there to play with them. No Dungeons and Dragons for the Wizard Master right now.
Oh,
But it could change. You never know.
You'll always be the Wizard Master.
I agree.
Well, thank you.
I agree.
My friend April the Gray on Instagram asks if you remember her go-go dancing at the Whiskey with Dokken.
Totally. Yeah, because that was, oh my gosh, wait. Was Corey Feldman there too? And Keith Coogan? Because we went to the Whiskey and I'm trying to figure out if it was then or no, that must have been Corey's band that was there, and then she just showed up. But I do remember her at the at Dokken, yes.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
April.
shout out to April. Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool. Is she still dancing over there?
She dances, yeah, for various bands at the Whiskey, yeah. So
Cool.
she's
Man, what an epic place, man. And that's why it was so awesome to have the reading there at the Whiskey A Go Go. And a buddy of mine now, Robbie Krieger,
Yeah.
the
Wow.
guitarist for the Doors. On a whole nother level, whole nother topic, we're doing a narrative about Brandon Lee, told through the eyes of his best friend, Bill Allen, co-written from Bill and Lou Diamond Phillips, who's going to be directing. And Robbie is our executive director or executive producer, and he also wrote our song. So
That's amazing. You know, wow, that's really cool. Grace is holding up a collection of Brandon Lee movies on VHS. And again, go to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button and watch it there. Bill had mentioned that he was working on that project way back when, I think in 2022, maybe, when we had him on. Wow, what a trip. And I'm so happy that that's come forward.
yeah, we're still trying. We're getting closer and closer. We did a documentary on Brandon that'll be out in November called Starring Brandon Lee, which is amazing because you'll hear lots of great questions and lots of answers about Brandon and a lot of friends talking about Brandon and family and great stories. So
Maybe we can get you and Bill back on in November and we can talk about the doc and do a tribute to Brandon Lee because we've been wanting to do that for quite some time now. That would
only
be
if
wonderful.
Grace is there.
Well, Grace is so my co-host Dustin took a sabbatical and then Grace is like, I'm happy to come on anytime. I'm like, Grace, you are officially part of the $2 late fee family. So
Did it cost her $2 or?
it did not. And she always pays her late fees on time. So, you know, and that's a whole other discussion we could have too about video stores. But Ira, it is an understatement to say this has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show because I knew we were going to go down a road with you. And the thing is, on our show, we never just go straight forward. It's always like, well, let's see where this goes. Let's see where that goes. Thank you for going down this road with us. And I look forward to continuing this conversation with us on the show.
I love it, man. We're going to have to do it. We'll do more. You guys rock. Thank you so much, man.
All right. And really quickly, do you want to plug anything upcoming?
I'm trying to think if there's anything I have to plug right now. I can't really talk about what I did yesterday. Otherwise, I'd have to kill you.
No, we're not going to bring that up, but it'll come soon. It'll come down the pipe.
But so, yeah, I mean, the documentary is the full thing kind of coming out. That'll be called Starring Brandon Lee. And I mean, in a weird verse also, I think Colleen Camp is going to help us distribute it.
So yeah, she's very busy. She's very
the
busy.
producer extraordinaire. So
Right.
amazing that you have her on your team.
Ira, again, thank you so much for being on the show.
No, thank you guys so much. And let's keep in touch.
Absolutely. All right.
All right, you guys rock.
Thanks, Ira.
Take care.
Thank you.